Hey guys, what is up? It's Rob here again, coming at you with the Sunday Nightly Watchlist, giving you all the news, giving you the plays, and giving you everything you need to know to make money coming into the week. So let's jump into it and get into the news. First thing I got for you right now is NVIDIA. NVIDIA deal to send AI chips to the United Arab Emirates has actually stalled, reported by the Wall Street Journal. So, not that I foresee this, to cause a big move down the stock, but a headline on the big AI name that has been driving big moves in the market. So, hey, another headline to keep a head out for, and NVIDIA. So, AI chips to the UAE have been stalled. Next thing I have for you here is Trump was actually, now this isn't confirmed news, okay? But the headline that came out was Trump is considering significant tariff relief for U.S. auto production. So with that in mind, we're looking at names such as General Motors, Tesla, Toyota, and Ford. They could benefit, right? If Trump were to cut those U.S. auto tariffs, all right, those are the names to be looking at. But this wasn't, a headline coming out of the White House or the Trump administration. It was actually a headline where it says Senator Moreno, was the one that, dropped this headline. And it caused for us to actually hit a 1,100% option play, okay? Every dollar turned into 12 on this trade. That's what I'm telling you guys, right? Stay locked into the watch list and follow the news, right? Friday's a big option expiration day, so you can hit crazy option plays. Now, with me being able to get the fastest news in the world, right, and interpret it, go into the options chain and trade it, we actually hit 1,100%, okay? We were able, at the end of the day, to scoop up, right, for General Motors. We went into the option chain and got 1 cent options, okay? And we sold them for 12, right? So every dollar, right, we turned into 12, okay? On Friday, option expiration, General Motors. We got the headline, okay? We sniped the option chain, and then you know what we did? We waited for the news to circulate. It came out in CNBC, right? General Motors, right, popped off the CNBC conversation, and we exited the trade. We bottom ticked it, and we sold at the top. Awesome trade. Once again, it just goes to show you that when you're locked in, dialed in, following the news, all right, you can make these trades happen. All right, next thing I got for you, I'm going to throw it on the screen right now, okay, is the Earnings Whisper. Shout out Earnings Whisper for this, but this is their earnings calendar. So coming into the week, all right, Monday after the market closes, we get Constellation Brands, okay? Now, we actually own this in the long-term portfolio, so we're going to be looking at the earnings report, right, to see how they perform, because I've been really wanting to add to this position in the long-term portfolio, but, right, we get our deposits on the first of the month, and the stock, unfortunately, ran up, right? It was a pre-earnings run-up, so short sellers are covering before the earnings and dip buyers are coming in the market. So, unfortunately, we were not able to add before we got the deposit because it was a pre-earnings run-up, but they report after the market closes on Monday, which I'm looking forward to, right? A name in our long-term portfolio to keep your eyes on that, okay? Next thing we have for you, too, is McCormick reported in pre-market on Tuesday. Another, name that's been beaten up, so big name to watch for. All right, McCormick is a big name, right? Food seasoning company. All right, nobody wants to eat plain food out here, so a huge company. All right, another name to be keeping an eye out for. Tuesday pre-market, they report their earnings, okay? And the next thing we got for you is another name in our long-term portfolio, PepsiCo. Now, they report before the market opens on Thursday, okay? Now, I did put out a video on why we added PepsiCo to our long-term portfolio, okay? So check it out in the video. All right, more to be coming when we add long-term picks. But big earnings week nonetheless for our long-term portfolio with Constellation Brands and PepsiCo. All right, so we have that coming in. Also, LAC on Friday ran up another 30%. Lithium American Corporation, all right? Now, that's another name where the U.S. government took a 5% equity stake, okay? And it was the Department of Energy. And that, was another play that we hit because that's a runner. Because the government invested in Intel, took an equity stake, and now you're seeing LAC run up another 30%, right? We were on the watch list, everyone. All right, the government's, taking equity stake in this company, right? And then look what happened, up 30%. Stay locked into the watch list. I keep saying it because I'm not messing around anymore, guys. I want you to pay attention Get locked in, share the news, share the plays in the comments, all right? That's what we're here for. We're a community, all right? We help each other, all right? We share the news, we share the plays, all right? We work together. So LAC, another 30% popper on Friday. Okay. Next thing I have for you here is Humana, plus 11%. Okay. Once again, on the news I gave you guys coming out of the watch list on Thursday. Okay. They popped 11% after the news got released last week regarding their star ratings from the U.S. government, right? Insurance company. Okay. And that affects their profitability and their margins. Okay. And news came out too, right? Watch their watch list, right, about this news, and it ran up another 11% you could have taken advantage on, just like the LAC, which went up 30%. Okay, next thing I have for you, new news that just dropped, right? NVO, Novo Nordisk, okay, the maker of Ozempic and Wegovy, another name that we have in our long-term portfolio, okay? The news that came out last night, over the weekend, is they're actually going to begin selling their prescription injectable pens at Costco Pharmacies, okay? Big news coming out of that name, okay? We're going to see how this news opens up, right, the name on the market on Monday. I'm expecting a green shoe off of this, but, you know, if it doesn't get circulated around, that's an opportunity. Okay, next thing I wanted to share with you is Bitcoin passes its all-time high, okay? It hit over $125,000 to reach its new record high. So once again, you know, I've been telling everyone the market's in a bubble. The market's going crazy. You're seeing AI names run, okay, quantum names going crazy, and now crypto is getting a runner. So watch out for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Coinbase coming into this week with new Bitcoin all-time high. Okay. Now, speaking of the market getting crazy in the bubble, next thing I wanted to share with you is these quantum names. Okay. Now, this is really interesting because over the weekend we're getting a lot of people talking smack about these quantum bubble names. Okay. I think there's a lot of people out here, right? A lot of people have, you know, incentives to make these names come down, and we're seeing, right, a lot of people trying to short these bubble quantum names. Now we have QUBT. The headline I wanted to show you, right, was this was a quantum company, right, quantum company right now, but it's a beverage company, right? Supposedly it's a beverage company that turned into quantum computing, QUBT. And you can see from these charts, we're talking penny stocks that ran up crazy, okay? And I have more for you, okay? So it's interesting because people are sharing these images, right? Because you can find the filings of where these quantum companies' headquarters are located. And you can see, I mean, you know, we're looking like, right, Aerotime. Have you ever seen Wolf of Wall Street, right? Where the guy, Jordan Belfort, right? Leonardo DiCaprio, right? He's selling a stock, and it's called Aerotime. And the headquarters is based out of a shed. And, you know, it's a big old joke in the movie about pumping penny stocks. Well, here you go. Look at these images I'm going to put on the screen, right? Now, these are the headquarters. We're talking $23 billion company, $13 billion company, $11 billion, and $4.5 billion quantum companies, okay? These names have been running up a crazy off of retail hype, okay? And that's something I wanted to share with you, right? These are glorified research projects, right? And most of these names will go to zero, okay? I believe in quantum, okay? I think in a decade and years from now, right, quantum can have, you know, a big, you know, impact on society. But in the short term, you're seeing a lot of bubble names coming out, okay? And most of these will go to zero. So you have to be extremely careful, because just because these names are going up, okay, does not mean it's the real deal. All that's telling you is that there's a lot of speculation, okay? And people are going to the market bidding these names up because they see it going up and up and up. So people, right, want to get on the action. So they start investing, okay? Now the names keep running, okay? But that doesn't mean it's a good long-term investment, okay? So, guys, that's all the news I have for you. All right, we hit the crazy 1,100% option play on Friday. I was telling you on the Thursday watch list, I said, get locked in. We're going to come into Friday. We're going to hit 1,000%er, and that's exactly what we did. Peace out, guys. Oh, before I peace out, you know what? The Ravens, man. Holy smokes, man. I'm going to put you on the screen the score of the Ravens game, man. But they sold so hard, okay? Look at the score. Crazy. That's all I got for you guys. Peace.